Hello everyone, how are you all? So as you know today that story we will continue now, and when this story gets over we will chant something. Okay? Who had looked after her all these years? Said Roopa. This is your uncle Bolu. He learnt he had a niece and came here looking for you. He wants to take you home with him and look after you like his own daughter. You are so lucky, Roopa. We are so happy for you. Roopa looked around everyone, beaming happily at her. Excuse me? I thought, what harm would there be if she went away with his uncle? She happily packed whatever little things she owned and waving goodbye, she was Tata to her friends and neighbors, went off with Bolu. No sooner had they reached his house of his disguise and appeared before her as a young man. Roopa was horrified. Oh, what a fool she had been to believe the store didn't come away. He was nothing but a trickster. In Bolu's house, there was no one else but his mother. He was old and deaf and blind. She was very old. She couldn't even walk, that means. She was deaf. She couldn't hear. And blind. She couldn't even see. So she couldn't do anything. She was old. She can't even walk because her legs were still paining. She was deaf. She could not hear anything. She was blind. She could not see. So she could not communicate. So she could not tell her child the right path. After eating his lunch, Bolu decided to walk about for a while, meeting his friends and telling them how he had kidnapped Roopa. She too ate her lunch, pretended she was very sleepy and yawned loudly, and told his mother, Auntie, I'm very, very, very tired. After the longest journey, I'm going to bed for a little while. If your son comes around, tell him to not wake up. Bolu's mother nodded. She had not heard much, but that means she was not that deaf. She was only a little deaf, but she could understand, okay? So she could communicate a bit, only a bit. But she could, like deaf people most of the time cannot talk. But some of them are lucky enough to talk. Roopa quickly went to the other room, borrowed some of Bolu's clothes, wore them and ran off. She took with her a few coins and a thick stick to defend herself if need be. If she had to do it. Before leaving, she arranged the pillows in such a way on the bed that in the evening darkness it looked like someone was sleeping on the bed. Then she covered the pillows with a dupatta in the sheet. Dupatta, all of us know what is dupatta, but some people who do not know how to speak Hindi, I'm just translating for them. Dupatta means a shawl, a chunni. Okay, that someone was sleeping on the bed. Then she covered the pillows with a dupatta, shawl and a sheet. Sheet, that means that blanket. Okay. And then if anyone only looked in from the door, would have seen if a woman was sleeping on the bed. Means she was sleeping on the bed because she didn't want anybody to find out, right? So while Aji was telling this story, she then again continued after taking a bit of a break. Bholu returned home. When it was well past evening, his mother told him Roopa was in her room. He peeped and saw someone sleeping. That means the pillows. And saw someone sleeping and went away. Many hours passed. Bholu kept checking whether Roopa is awake or not. But each time he saw her sleeping without moving a muscle. Finally, he realized something is wrong. He went to the bed and pulled back the dupatta and the sheet. Imagine his shock when he saw nothing but pillows on the bed. Roopa had disappeared. He ran out immediately and asked everyone around if they had seen a young pretty girl walk out of his house. But no one had, because Roopa had cleverly disguised herself as a man. Meanwhile, Roopa too had walked many miles till she reached a different town. There she looked around for work and was taken by an innkeeper to look after guests, who now called herself Rupesh. Rupesh was happily doing his work. She could not return to her village till she did something about Bholu. Otherwise, he would be sure to land up there and bring her back with him, pretending to be her uncle. After many days, Bholu turned up at the town. He walked from the shop into the market, asked if anyone had seen someone like Roopa. Of course, no one had. Roopa had got to know and decided to teach him a lesson. Roopa got to know. No, when Bholu reached her in, he did not recognize her when she was in the men's clothes. She agreed to give him a room for the night. She told him, "Sir, I will give you a room in attic. It is a nice, warm and cozy." That means you just wanted to teach her a lesson. Bholu quickly went up the ladder and found his bed, wrapped a blanket himself and went off to sleep. When it was in the middle of the night, Roopa sneaked into his room and removed the ladder. Then she threw some right under the trapdoor and stamped loudly around the room. Bholu woke with a start. Who was that walking around his room? He called down nervously. Who was there? Roopa called out. The man was, "Nothing, worry, sir. The soldiers are looking for a thief they believed is hiding in this inn." Bholu was really scared. How did the soldiers know that there was a thief and a trickster? He was sure they were looking for him and decided to make a run for it. He opened the trapdoor and stepped down, but no ladder. Bholu fell with a loud thud on the floor. Marbles too and went crashing and sliding over the place. Finally, he hit his head against the wall and passed out unconscious. Roopa had been watching this from the door as Bholu fainted. She heaved him up and packed him up in a large box. She placed it in a nice silk cloth on top of it Then she dragged the box outside. Soon a bullock cart passed by with two travelers heading within. When they saw Roopa and Rupesh standing outside within, they asked, "Are you manager of this inn?" Roopa nodded, "Yes. Why are you standing there?" Roopa replied in a worried voice, "I look after this inn. I was supposed to go in my own village earlier today to attend a wedding. But there was so much work that I could not leave. And now I'm here waiting for my cart with this heavy box." Then she lowered her voice and whispered, "This box is full of gifts I bought for the wedding. And if I don't reach them, everyone will be disappointed." The two travelers who were up to no good themselves looked at each other. The same thought had came to both. They said, "Don't worry, brother. You can take a ride on our cart. Why don't you put up your box and cart here? But before we start, would you mind getting us a drink of water?" Rupesh and Roopa smiled to herself and dragged the box to the cart. Then she went inside to fetch a glass of water. She took her time. As soon as she was back, as soon as her back was turned, the two travelers opened the box to see what was contained. They saw some lovely silk cloth on top. Now assured that they got their hands on some valuables. They quickly urged the bullock cart towards and made a dash for it. Once they were well and truly out of sight, Roopa grinned to herself. Her plan had worked. She ran to the nearest police station and told them all about the thief. The two men in the bullock cart were celebrating their thief of the box when they were horrified to see soldiers waiting for them down on the road. What could they do? They wondered. They were crossing a bridge on the river at that time and quickly tripped on the box of water. Then they heaved a sigh of relief. So that the end of Bholu and Roopa to return to her village, where she lived happily on her own. She was not going to trust any stranger anymore, and that's why brave Suma did too. When she was in trouble, she did not talk to any stranger, but went straight to the police for help. We must remain cool like this when in trouble. Sign of Vishnu Kaka. Suma was delighted at praise and ate her bhajiyas with great happiness all the way home. Okay, so now I will say the ending prayer and we will finish it. Okay, so in this story, what is the moral? It's telling us to always be brave, never lose hope. If we get weak, people will make us even more emotional, even more weak. People will keep on फायदा लेते जाएंगे हमारा. They will keep on taking advantage of us. So we should always be strong, okay? Now I will say the ending prayer. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavantu. I'll say it again. Kindly join your hands, close your eyes and say Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavantu. सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवन्तु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवन्तु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवन्तु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्, अस्तु मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। Hari Om everybody. Enjoy your day. Bye.